Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing a review on the new open beta test for Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream. And to be perfectly honest with you, I legit just caught wind of this game up until like about an hour ago when I actually just got done starting on season 1 of the anime itself. So I was a little surprised that I legitimately like just saw this game on the PlayStation Store, and I didn't even notice a market for this game or any kind of ads or commercials for it in the first place. So I figured, hey, why don't I just go ahead and give a review on the open beta test? And I tried it for myself, and it's pretty good. So, let's just go ahead and dive into the game itself and its mechanics.
リンクスタート
So right off the bat, the game goes ahead and puts you into a tutorial as soon as you like get through the menu and all the accessibility features. And right from the get-go, they go ahead and start explaining things to you. It's a game tutorial, expected of what you should know and all that stuff. So from like your day-to-mill regular Japanese MMORPG, it's really not that different. It takes a lot of style from all the other Sword Art Online games, I would say, at least from what I remember of Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, but it's also a little bit more closed off in these arenas though. It's not as like open, it's a little bit more linear for sure, but I think that's pretty good for what it's trying to do here. So right off the bat, they give you the movement mechanics, the combat, and how to guard and all your special abilities, and all of it fits together pretty well. They even have this mechanic where it allows you to it's like a guard or movement cancel, and it allows you to stop what you're doing and lead into something else. And I didn't really get a hang of that mechanic. I kind of just like try to dash or dodge out an attack. I never really try to guard as much, just because in these type of games you're not really accustomed to guarding in the first place. So but it's a nice mechanic, and I think it definitely should be utilized. And it also does have a perfect guard mechanic. So it's something that I definitely just need to get the hang of. So that's definitely just for me. So what you just seen right there was the special abilities, and it's also a part of this reel, as you can see right down there, where you hold R1 to bring it up, and it shows you your 4 abilities. R1X is just a healing ability, so everyone has. It's a healing crystal, just like I'm pretty sure it was in the anime. Can't really remember. I'm still watching through it, so it could be my fault. But your R1 square, triangle, and circle, those all lead into 3 separate combat abilities. I don't really think they give you any buffs, at least from what I could have seen. But they're mainly just for damage as it is. But then again, at the same time, I was mainly just playing as Kirito the whole time, so it very well could have different buffs for like your other defensive, support, or medic characters. But I was playing as an attacker role, just Kirito, the whole time. So it's completely on me. And something else that this game does introduce is that in the middle of these levels, you will come across treasure chests, and they do drop you XP, gold, and these new things called mods. And once you pick them up, or before you pick them up, you can look at them on the ground, and they basically tell you what they do. They can give you a bonus, like increase critical hit damage, or increase critical hit rates, or regenerate some health whenever you're below a certain amount. And so that's it's pretty nice. But you can only carry one at a time, from what I've seen. So make sure you read them and pick what's best for your class of like how you're playing. Something else that this game does include with your special attacks are these things called ultimates, and it's what everyone gets, and I'm pretty sure it just builds up over time. And I mean, at least that's what I figured out so far. Then again, I wasn't really reading it the whole time, so I'm pretty sure it's just something that builds up over time, and maybe how much damage you put into enemies. But how you do it is that you just hold R1, and then if you look at that little golden icon at the bottom near the rest of them, that's your ultimate ability. And you press R1 and R3 to activate it. And it definitely does put in a whole lot of damage. And its range on it is, it's decently, mid-range to like very close range. So, I wouldn't take my chances. I would wait till you get right in their faces and do it. But as for other characters, I have yet to experience them, just because, like I said, I've been playing Kirito the whole time. So, then again, it's just something that you would have to try for yourself. And in the tutorial, it told me that in every level, it all ends with some kind of boss fight or boss raid at the end of the quest. So, and this is the tutorial boss, and they basically explain to you a mechanic called the break gauge. And once you break the enemy, then they enter the stun mechanic, and it's just where it gives you time to really nail like well into them. Just give it everything you've got. Just put in as much damage as you can. And later on in the online mechanic, you all work together, but you kind of get this like MVP bonus reward if you're the one that deals the most damage, or even get the final hit on the boss. Like how it was introduced in the first season of Sword Art Online, where there's always a final blow bonus reward for killing the boss. And I would say this game also does something relatively new. I have noticed it in a few different RPGs, but there's this thing called Synchro Counter, and it's basically when a boss is getting ready to charge up like some kind of ultimate attack, and somewhere on the field you'll see these 3 points, or maybe even 4 to 5 points, and if you and your allies get in them to Synchro Counter, then once you've all lined up, then you set yourself up a perfect counter, which would do a lot of damage to the enemy boss and stop them from doing a whole area attack, which would affect everybody. And then usually in most cases, once you get it off, it does break them. So that allows you and your whole team to really do some damage in on the boss. But I will say these bosses are quite tanky, so you can definitely lead it into a whole lot of fun if it's a high level boss and you and your friends are just really wanting a game where you gotta really put some effort into it. And then there's also this mechanic called switch chains, and I'm not exactly sure how it's set up, but all I know is that once you're really laying in some damage into the enemy boss, then that's whenever a switch chain becomes available. And what happens is that you'll see that underneath your character or characters, you'll see a little blue ring, which means it's getting ready to set up a switch chain, and that basically allows like for a team attack in a sort of way. But from what I've seen and understand is that you have to be at pretty decent close range to activate it. If you try to activate it while you're far off from the boss, there's a pretty good chance that you're not gonna land your hit since you're so far away. So it's the best to stay close to the enemy boss once you have that switch chain set up. And then there's also a mechanic called chain finish, or something like that, I believe. And it basically, I'm pretty sure it's just where it's a switch chain that does a whole lot of critical damage, and I've only landed it maybe like 2 or 3 times in what I've played so far. And like I said, it doesn't really feel that different, to be perfectly honest. But I guess it really does rack up the damage. So what do I know? So right after you get done defeating the tutorial boss, you'll be returning to the menu or the lobby of the game, and they'll start telling you what the different tabs do. And the first thing I took a look at was the player card menu, and there's some customization you can do in there, such as like editing the card, editing the pose, the expression, or even the the set piece of where your character is in the player card. So that's pretty decent. I don't think I've really seen a player card do something like that before. And with the player card, you can also put a different character in there, like Kirito or Asuna. And forgive me, I don't know all the other characters' names yet because I'm rewatching through the show again. But yeah, there's quite a few of them in the beta, but not all of them. Like some of the essential characters from the first season aren't really in there, which is a little surprising. But maybe they're just saving them for the full release of the game. So this is the character customization screen, and this is where you can select one of the few characters that are available to you, and you can change out their weapons or the accessories or the appearance. And the only thing that doesn't change the stats is like changing your appearance. Like if you change your suit, you don't have to worry about it like reducing your health or reducing damage or increased movement speed, because these are just for appearance only, so they don't really change anything. It just gives you the chance to spice up the way you look a little. The only thing that will change your stats are the accessories, and they just come in the form of rings or some kind of like small object that you wouldn't even see on the character. It's just something that'll give you minor buffs, such as applying more critical damage or giving you a little bit more health, or even just more critical damage. Just small things like that would kind of help you out in battle a little bit more. Of course, the higher rarity the item, the more it'll do. And here is what the character select screen looks like. Because once you select a mode, there's like only 3 game modes right now. There's the tutorial, there's the co-op quest, and there's the boss raid. And this right here is the co-op quest, which is the first thing that you can do after you beat the tutorial. And it sets you up with a party of 4. And I believe there are a total of 5 parties in a co-op quest. And how it works is that, there are 5 different teams made up of 4 people. And you get, a better bonus if your whole team, outdoes everybody, every other team that's in the same quest. But it's not really that you're working against each other, it's that you're still all working together. It's just whoever does better will get better loot, So it's kind of like it's a little competitive, dungeon crawler in a way. And so, as you've seen so far, is that once you start up the co-op quest, your party will start up at a different region in the map, away from the other, competitive player teams. And, it's your goal as a whole team to, get through the level and take out any enemies you come across the way. So, therefore, you can level up as you're playing the quest. And, that's where it's just a little confusing, because I believe everyone starts at level 0 as soon as you start a co-op quest, and then as you defeat enemies through the level, they drop XP points, which will increase your levels as you continue through the co-op quest. And the highest that I've ever gotten, I believe, was maybe only 22 or 24. So don't expect to get a crazy high level in a single quest. At least in the beginning. Maybe later on, once the game is fully released, they'll upgrade the how much levels you can get, and how many more enemies there'll be in the quest. But to be perfectly honest, there was quite a few enemies in the same quest. It was actually pretty cool to see. The map definitely looks small from your mini map, but don't really expect it to believe that small, just because even though it does feel small, the enemies make it feel like a large map just from how many will actually spawn in from time to time. And I'm not sure if they respawn, but all I know is that if you are exploring different regions of the little level that you're on, more enemies will spawn in. And the higher level you are, the more, the enemies will adjust to your level, so there won't be a huge level gap. And while you're doing these co-op quests, you'll notice that on the mini map, there's a treasure chest in a little closed off area. So this is where I'm running back to go get it. And I noticed that for these treasure chests, there's great risk but great reward with it. And the reason why I say great risk is because once you go for a chest in a closed off area, it'll actually introduce a mini boss of some sorts, which is just going to be a slightly higher level than you. But as you progress through the dungeon, you'll notice that their levels will jump pretty big. The level jump will be pretty big. So within the same level, here we are at the little destination place, and it's at this where we introduce our first mini boss. I mean, I would just say it's some sort of mini boss. It's just something that greets you when you're at your objective for the first level of the dungeon. And so far, it wasn't really all that hard. I couldn't really recognize any kind of attack patterns from it as I was damaging it. I just wasn't really paying attention to it all that much. All I know is that later on, these bosses you come across, they will indicate whether they're going to attack or not whenever you see a red area forming on the ground or around them. And that just basically lets you know that you should move away. But yeah, for the whole entirety of this first boss fight, it wasn't really that hard, seeing as it kind of seems like you kind of just got stuck right there. But it's probably something that they'll fix with the enemy mapping once the game fully drops. Something else that can happen during these co-op quests is where whenever an ally's HP reaches 0, of course they get down. And when they get down, there's actually a set amount of time where you can go over and revive them. And thankfully, the revive timer doesn't seem to be that long. But, it's probably best if you're able to get an enemy away from them and revive them, so you just don't get interrupted. And then right here is where, they also introduce, a chest right after you defeat the first mini boss in the first level of the dungeon. And, it doesn't really drop a whole lot of high level stuff. It definitely just drops you some more XP and a few different mods as well as a few different healing crystals to give you. So before me and my team actually left this first segment of the dungeon, we went around the rest of the map just so we could like continue to level up and see if we get better mods so we're better prepared for the next segment of the map. And as we're going throughout here, we can see that there's 3 different missions on the objective screen, as you can see to the right side. And you can see the total score and the total party score, so it just lets you know like how your team is doing compared to the team that's doing the best. And so right around here is where I go back to what I was talking about earlier, where you can like find mini bosses that are guarding these chests and these little closed off areas in the map. And even though this is only the second segment of the dungeon, I gotta be honest with you, these guys were totally just whooping my ass. Like, I kid you not. You know, I managed to like dodge their attacks quite a few times, but once you get hit by it, you will definitely notice like how much damage they do, and it is insane. I believe I only got hit twice and they knocked me down, and that's when they definitely humbled me and made me realize that this is a game where you have to fight with your team. Don't think just because you're playing as an attacking character that you're going to be able to do it all alone, because trust me, you're not going to. And once that reality sets in and you realize that this is a party game where you have to rely on everybody in the group and not just yourself, then everything becomes a little bit easier, but the challenge still remains because you still have to play smart. You just can't go in button mashing because, well, as you can see right here, I'm already at low health and this is where I get knocked. Yep. So right after me and my team got done fighting those mini bosses and at those treasure chests and collected the loot, this is where we came over to the main objective, and it's here where we met everybody else that was in the same co-op quest, and it appears we're fighting a whole little entourage of mini bosses, you know, because their enemy levels are quite high and quite a few people were getting knocked even as we're fighting them. So it definitely does let you know that all these teams are necessary to fight these type of enemies near the end of the quest. But even this isn't the final area of the quest. This is just the second segment, and right after we beat these guys is where we got introduced to the final boss of the dungeon itself. So once everybody managed to defeat those mini bosses and do the objective, which was like clearing out this terminal so we can set up another portal to lead into the final boss, is whenever it's revealed that the final boss of this first dungeon is actually the first enemy boss that's introduced in the first season of the anime in episode 2 of Sword Art Online. And honestly, it was quite a nice surprise to see, seeing as how, like I said, I just started on season 1 and right away this is an enemy boss that I already recognized from the anime. So it was pretty cool to actually see that happen. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but right before we actually entered this little mini boss fight room, there's this like little digital tree looking thing that you saw. And that's actually where you go to refill your healing crystals, because they are on a limited stock of only being able to carry 3 at a time, and once you run out they don't regenerate, so you do have to restock them at those points. Now, even though I did say that you know, some strategy is going to be involved in this, at the same time it kind of feels like strategy is going to be a little lackluster in these events, just because where the final dungeon boss is where everybody is just like throwing themselves at them, and you are going to see like quite a few people get downed a lot, just because like everybody is in the middle of them, just, you know, trying to deal as much damage as they can for the whole team, which, you know, goes to the aspect of where it's being competitive, so everybody's trying to like outshine everyone else. But, you know, really, if this was limited to only a party of 4, it's probably where it would have felt more dramatic and even like tougher in a way, compared to where you can kind of just sit back and let everyone else do more damage, as you can just defeat the minor enemies that enter the arena, so you can, you know, damage them and level up while they're all still attacking the boss. So, you know, you're just waiting for them to wear him down so you can get in there while you have all your abilities stacked and your awakening stacked, so you can do the most damage compared to everyone else. And that was something I did forget to mention, was this ability called Awakening, and it's right above the health bar you see over there, and it says L1, and the bar is gold. That means, you know, your awakening bar is full, so you can activate it. And once your awakening bar is activated, I believe it refills your health a little bit, and it does increase your health and your damage as well. I'm pretty sure it increases the reload on the cooldown of your special attacks. So, you know, it really does allow you to do a whole lot in a matter of a few seconds while you have it. And as you can see right there, the last attack was, caught by someone on another team, and unfortunately, it wasn't our team that was MVP. Kind of sucks, but at the same time, this is where I said that it's like a competitive dungeon crawler. You're just trying to see which team can come out on top of doing the most damage, the most healing, the most revives, and the most levels. Just that sort of thing that makes you realize, like, oh, competitive. You gotta be competitive if you want to get the best loot. But at the same time, landing the final attack on the boss seems like something that's going to be extremely hard to do, where everyone is just, attacking him at the same time. So it's just going to be a matter of luck whether or not you get it. So that's just where it feels a little lackluster. But other than that, the whole layout of the co-op quest, I would say it's landing pretty well. It's just, it feels a little hectic when everybody is throwing themselves at the final boss. That's the only issue I have. But who knows, maybe later on when they fully release the game and they throw different bosses in there that'll do all sorts of different things, maybe then it really does become necessary. But as of where you're just starting out, it feels a little lackluster in a way. But that's just me. So now, if you're looking for something definitely challenging in this game, it's probably going to be your boss raids, which I said before is a third game mode in the game itself. Maybe there's going to be more after launch, but as far as the beta shows, there's co-op quests and boss raids, and this boss raid is where it's still the same setup where it's teams of 5 and parties of 4, and it's still competitive MVP sort of thing where whatever team can do the most damage and stay alive the longest during this boss raid is where you're going to be mainly rewarded at the end of it. But I tell you, this sucker took a long time to do, and it makes sense. It's a boss raid. It should definitely feel impactful, and it should feel like it's going to take quite a while to wear the boss down. But I'll tell you what, this boss definitely did, show me where all these teams do become necessary. And it's because, like, as you can see, he's nearly he's knocked quite a few people right here in this segment alone. But they introduced synchro counters in this boss fight again, and not everybody noticed them. I didn't even notice them. And once you miss the synchro counter, that boss comes down and deals an attack that damages the whole arena, affecting everybody, and that dude does quite a lot of damage. And it's a little surprising that he didn't even knock everybody. But even if you do get knocked, it's not a huge deal in this game, because all knocking, getting knocked does is that if you have to respawn, it doesn't take away anything from you besides the fact that you're probably gonna drop some loot once you respawn, or not even drop it, you just lose it entirely, so you can't pick it back up. So staying alive and getting revived is two different things, but if you have to respawn, that's when you're actually losing something. So it's in your best interest to do your best to not get downed at all, just so it helps towards the team more, and so you don't even lose anything if you were to get revived. So as you can see right here, this is where we finally get the boss raid, low health. So now everybody's just on him, trying to do as much damage as they can. I even awakened and did my ultimate attack, and to no avail. Someone else still got the final hit off. So it's definitely a challenge to try to be the person to do the final attack. Probably just also makes you really feel good once you've done it. But again, here my team wasn't the best, and it's a shame, but still you still get some high level loot from it. Just nothing really major, since this is still the beta. They don't want to give everything to you yet. And I believe that if you do participate in the beta while it's still active, you can get some weapons and accessories to switch over to the main game once it actually drops. But even then, I don't think anyone else is going to have time to do that unless they did it before I publish this video, because I believe I'm on the last day where you can actually play the open beta. But as far as everything goes, I believe that's everything that I have to talk about this game. Really, like I said before, this game was quite a surprise to see that it was dropping so soon, because I legitimately never saw any kind of ads or any marketing for this game whatsoever. So I was really surprised when I seen this game pop up on the PlayStation Store as I just got done watching the anime. So then again, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm not like, you know, providing any kind of place for it to be like, marketed to me. So that could be something else. But if you've caught one in this game and you're wondering if you should pick it up, if I had to rate it myself personally, I would probably give it, I would say an 8 out of 10 as for the beta goes. It's definitely like, it feels pretty refreshing for an RPG game. And for something that's, sort of online, um, I think the best they've done since then was like Fatal Bullet when that game dropped. And I really did enjoy it. I just joined it at a late time where like no one was really active anymore, so it was hard to party up with people. But with this game, I believe there's a chance that it could definitely bring back the fan base and all the players together, so everyone can have fun with it again. So I really can't wait to see what else this game does once it drops. Maybe they'll like later on down the line introduce like new DLC quests or even maybe DLC characters. I'm just really interested to see what this game does in the future. But apart from all that, the gameplay, I think it's pretty solid. It gives you every aspect that RPG should, and it definitely puts you in a world and the setting where it feels like you are taking part in the world of Sword Art Online. So that, that's really good and refreshing. Something else about the beta that I kind of just noticed is that it does take quite a little bit while to like load into these levels. But then again, I understand too. It's putting like I'm not good at math, like over 16 people into a co-op quest or raid. So I believe that's why it does take so long. And also, I did notice that the frame rate does drop from time to time, but I believe that mainly just happens when there's just so much going on the screen, and it just kind of takes a hit at the frame rate a little bit. But other than that, not really any problems with the open beta so far. So all in all, I had a pretty fun time. Probably going to keep playing it a little bit longer just before the open beta does close. So, until then, I hope you guys enjoyed the review and probably think about the game, getting the game yourself. And if you do, then I hope you have a fun time with it as much as I did with the open beta. So with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.